Alright, what's going on, guys? It is your boy TKD, want you to hear back here on PlayStation Source. And while we wait for the eventual PS5 unveiling, which who knows when that's happening, but definitely it is, I presume, imminent. We just don't know when. We have gotten a lot of pretty cool details about the console that some of them are via patents, right? And there are other ones that are tweets from some people that definitely hold a lot of weight in terms of credibility. And there are a bunch of other things that we're going to talk about here on this video involving PS5, including how the menu can really cultivate your way of play and what you plan on playing in the future, as well as some PS5 DualSense controller news, and of course the whole thing about the PS4 to PS5 upgrade program in terms of games. So what's going on, guys? It is your boy TKD1 and we're going to talk about all things PS5 right now. So while we haven't seen the PS5 menu, and that's something that I definitely cannot wait for, because the menu is going to be what you first boot up. It's going to be what you interface with, and as long as that's good, that could really tumble down into a great overall experience with the PS5. But we did have, of course, them come out and say that there will be widgets that will be built into the PS5's operating system that developers and publishers can enable for certain games to be able to get you to quick access certain things within games. So no longer will you have to open up, for example, Call of Duty Modern Warfare and click on multiplayer to get to multiplayer. Now you can do it straight from the PS5 menu with the widget if Activision and whatever developer is making COD that year, for example Infinity Ward, can enable that widget to just be a kind of like hotkey to go straight into multiplayer. So we do know that functionality is built in to the PS5 menu, as we have heard before in the past. But there is a really cool feature that has been rumored a lot over the past few days that I think is really cool for those that are on a tight schedule. So as you know, the biggest hurdle for me personally, right, being a content creator on this channel, and of course someone that has to keep up with a lot of games in the industry, and definitely especially of course PlayStation, I do have a very hard time kind of giving the amount of time that a game requires out of the player, right? And so I really do turn to a very great resource called howlongtobeat.com that gives you the aggregate average score via user submissions of how long to beat a game, whether it's 100%, just the main story, or it's a completionist type of playthrough where you do everything in the game, etc. It's a great resource. If you guys don't use it, definitely check it out. But it is definitely a great barometer to kind of like hone in on, okay, like how long is this game going to take me? And it looks like a new patent from the PS5, from Sony and PlayStation, that PlaySquare published last week, that is really going to add a really cool functionality that How Long to Beat does already, but have it built into the OS. So you say here, according to PlaySquare, quote, a new patent, however, hints at how the far Japanese giant intends to take this general idea. It proposes a software solution whereby players could be informed how long on average it'll need to play to complete the next objective. It'll also then make suggestions that could potentially optimize your playtime, such as using a specific resource. If you're having difficulty to complete a section, then the console will surface hints or tips. And so by the way this sounds, it does sound like it is kind of going to be utilizing some of the PlayStation Assistance type of UI, and type of, well, I guess not UI, more AI type of software that is being rumored and patented for the PS5, where that one is more of just kind of like a general thing, where again, if you are playing the game, you can ask it for help, and it'll give you guides and tips and stuff like that that will help you progress in the game. However, if they are also including this patent into it, where it is giving you more of like, okay, in order to beat mission X, you can use resource Y during mission X to make the time of completion less, and just giving you like an average of, all right, like I'm assuming it'll be judged by maybe the overall player base that's played that game, or maybe your own stats as well. It could say, hey, on average you should be able to beat this mission in X amount of time. What I'm saying? Like, I think that's just great to give the player as much information in terms of time in games. And hopefully, if they do add this, I really do hope that we get a in-game clock of how long you are playing a game for every game software wide. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter what game it is, I hope that it is named to the OS, because they do have those numbers. If you guys know, for the past few years, they have been doing the PlayStation year in review emails that get sent out around, I believe, December or January, that give you a nice breakdown of like what's your top most played games of the year. And so they're tracking that stuff, so why not put it into the PS5, put it into the OS? I would love that personally, but I guess we'll have to see. But overall, just speaking of what is confirmed here, well, sorry, not confirmed, what is being speculated, definitely this cool feature about having, hey, you're gonna complete this in X amount of time, is a really welcome type of feature. I definitely like it a lot. Hopefully it blows up into having just a universal game clock for all games. But let me know your thoughts. Do you guys want this feature in PS5? Do you think it sounds cool? How would you utilize it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Next up here, so we have a leaker here that is talking about the PS5 DualSense controller, and there are some elements of it that could potentially relate to the PS5 itself as a console. And I was looking around, and apparently this guy has broken some things about the PS5 and broken news about the PS5 on a few different instances. I couldn't find an example of it, so honestly, this dude could completely just be just talking and just tweeting. There's nothing to hold here, because I really can't claim him as credible. But I think they're so interesting in the fact that if these are true, these do have a lot of implications for the PS5. So let's start off here. Of course, we did get the PS5 DualSense controller announcement on the PlayStation blog famously, and it made a bunch of waves throughout Twitter and all that good stuff. However, we do have some follow-up tweets by this user. His name is Ironman PS5, which I think is his second screen name. I don't even know who this guy is, but he says here that every PlayStation 5 retail box will contain one DualSense wireless controller inside the box. Like, cool, like that's a given, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's obvious. So next up here, he does say something a little bit more groundbreaking that could be interesting, even though this guy I can't claim as credible, you know what I'm saying? Like, we are just talking about rumors here in this video. So he says here that DualSense will be sold separately on November 20th, 2020, and will be available in North America, Canada, and Europe, and the United Kingdom as a recommended retail price of US dollars of $60, Canadian $59.99, and all a bunch of other currencies $59.99, around that $60 price point. So what I really want to talk about here is that if we think back to PS4, right? The PS4 launched in the United States 2 weeks before Black Friday on November 15th, and then 2 weeks after that was Black Friday, right? So if you guys don't know, if you guys aren't in the States, Black Friday is a very important shopping day in the United States. It is the Friday after Thanksgiving, and it is when like a lot of the parents go out and do their Christmas shopping for December, as well as it is a nice like barometer for a lot of companies to stay in the black. That's why it's called Black Friday. You know what I'm saying? Like they do like a bunch of sales and a bunch of incentives to get you to shop on Thanksgiving night / Black Friday, and it's a big key point for people that are buying goods in the US. So it would make sense of November 20th, because that's a week before Black Friday for the year of 2020 in the US. And so that date to me sounds right, you know what I'm saying? And of course, do just comment quickly, the controller price does sound right as well, $60. That's how much a DualShock 4 is right now. I think they're a little bit less right now, but still, like $60 is the pretty much standard price for a controller these days. But the only thing that's working kind of against this, if what he's saying here is that the controller standalone is releasing on November 20th, then that must mean that the console would be dropping that same day. I don't see them selling the controllers before the console releases. I don't see that. But the only thing I kind of see that's working against that whole theory of November 20th is that we have had a bunch of, type of reports and rumors going around that Assassin's Creed Valhalla and one other game as well is going to be coming out in October. And so if they are planning on launching those games, and more specifically, I guess, Assassin's Creed Valhalla in October, then does that mean that they are launching like the PS4 and Xbox One version ahead of the next gen version, with the next gen coming in November along with the consoles? Is that what they're getting at? Or like a lot of people were saying that maybe because the Valhalla release date is in October, then that must mean that next gen is in October as well. But we don't really know that whole thing. But I digress. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you guys believe this November 20th date, and the price of the controller at least seems pretty right? But all the good stuff, let me know your thoughts down below in those comments. Lastly here, this one is a pretty big topic, and that is, of course, the whole notion of the next gen upgrade programs that we got with the PS4 going in from the PS3 generation. And so if you guys recall those, I did do some research in terms of, all right, like what did PlayStation do on their side to support this mantra of buying a PS3 game during the, console release of the PS4, and then being able to get an upgraded version of that game that you got on PS3 over to PS4. Like, what was that whole process like? Because of course we know on the Xbox side they do have smart delivery, which they will be enabling that to work across Xbox One and Series X. Those games will be able to just work, day one without costing a penny to them, right? So going here, what PlayStation did back in 2013, according to the PlayStation legal website, they said here that, quote, for a limited time when gamers buy the disc or digital version of select games for PlayStation 3, they can download a PlayStation 4 digital copy of the same game from the PlayStation Store for a discounted price. Redeem the code packed into the PS3 version of the game on PlayStation Store and download the PS4 version of the game. Then use the original PS3 disc in your PS4 to activate and start playing. You do not need a PS4 to redeem your code. Simply redeem your code, then download your digital copy when your PS4 system arrives. And so that's what they did there, is that they did, like, for a limited fee, if it was on digital or if you had a physical version, there was a code that came into it for only some games. And honestly, those few games were only like 5. Like, it was like COD Ghost, I believe that year's 2K, and like, just a handful of games, right? So that's what they did specifically. Although, of course, if you guys recall, other retailers like GameStop and I believe Walmart as well had those programs where you could pay like a limited amount to be able to upgrade to the PS4 version. I believe GameStop did a $10 one, but honestly, I couldn't find any advertisements like about that online, and I don't really remember that well, but I do remember like trading in, because I got COD Ghost at GameStop physically, so I do remember going in and trading in for the PS4 version for like $10, I believe. And so here is what we have up today. So of course, Tyduck's Twitter fame, of course, he is very credible in a lot of what he has tweeted, and pretty much a lot of what he says pretty much comes to fruition as to be true. And so he did say here this little thing about cross-buy, from what he calls it cross-buy, even though cross-buy within the PlayStation ecosystem is just known for, like, if you buy a game on PS3, you get the PS Vita version, is more of like from that standpoint, but he is calling a cross-buy for the generational leap as well. So he says here, quote, cross-buy info, it's up to the developers and publishers. PlayStation understands the extra costs involved in cross-gen development and don't want to back people into a corner with a PR buzzword. So far, most devs and publishers will offer a free upgrade to PlayStation 5. And so I think this is pretty interesting for a few things. One here is that it sounds like what he's saying is that PlayStation is not doing an internal, program upgrade system from the PS4 to the PS5. So it looks like they are just leaving it up to the developers, which I think, from what the reasoning he says here, being that they understand the extra cost in development and resources that require to create a new version of an established and made game to a next gen hardware. Like, I do obviously understand that that does take money. It does take development resources and stuff like that. So I think what they are saying is that PlayStation understands that if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But a lot of the publishers and developers are probably going to do this, as what they say here. What he says here, saying that so far most devs and publishers will offer a free upgrade to PS5. So that is all well and dandy right there. That hopefully that's the status quo, and that's what I would have assumed the status quo would be, for the overall consensus, generally speaking, across the industry. Like, I feel like, if they had the opportunity, they would have probably offered something like this. So it is nice to see that, of course, not confirmed, according to Tyducks, this is the case. But I do want to, lastly comment on, this shade about not wanting to back people up into a corner with a PR buzzword. I don't know if that's Tyduck's words or is that the words from PlayStation that they told him, but hey, you know what? I like that sass, because it sounds like that's a jab at Microsoft with smart delivery. At least it sounds like it. I don't know, it might not be, but I do like that little clapback right there. I do appreciate that that little clapback right there. But of course, I am a little bit I guess wary and like a little bit skeptical that PlayStation isn't doing an internal upgrade, you know, program. Like it seems a little bit, like I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. Like I feel like they should have you know, gone out and done the initiative, but I do understand their standpoint on not wanting to force devs to do it per se, because of course the added cost of doing that. But that is all we got here for this video, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this one as well. Do you think that they will do a cross-buy type of deal? Do you think we will see the industry as a whole widely accept that for this next generational leap? Let us see in the comments below, as well as our topics as well that we talked about during this video about the controller and about all the good stuff that we talked about. And again, if you guys want to follow up on any of these stories, links are down below in the description. And while you are down there, make sure to check out that description where you can find our Twitter, our Discord, as well as your Anchor link to listen to our long form content and podcast format. That, of course, including Road to Part 2. Thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, as well as stay subscribed to PlayStation Source to keep up with the latest and greatest with PlayStation and all things PS5. Thank you all for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.